Hi, it's just me tonight. Oh, just kidding.
Just Carrie, I'm going to bed. Good night, guys.
I, I thought, oh crap, where'd she go?
I'm not quite as good at the bringing on. Like, I don't know if I can run the intro and then bring it. Like, I don't know. I'm not very good at it. So as long as I'm in charge of the intro, it's going to be a cluster, which, works out fine.
Well, see, and Laura and I always our show is always recorded, so it's real.
Right.
I think I've got it set to where once the intro's done, we're just there on screen.
I think there's a way to do that. I don't know how.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Look, we're talking like nobody's watching us have this conversation.
Right. It's nice to see everybody. Happy belated to Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Birthday.
It was a very chill day. It was a very chill day. Which I like. I like chill days. Not temperature wise, just real mellow. We didn't do a whole lot.
Real low key.
Watched a lot of true crime documentaries and
nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it was lovely. I am going to start driving tomorrow, which I'm very excited about because thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, George. Because I have been stuck in my house for 2 months and I'm over it. So
yeah, that's for someone like you.
Yeah, I can't deal.
No.
So the first place I'm going is to AutoZone to get a battery for my car because the battery died. So my neighbor's coming over tomorrow with his little jump box and I'm going straight to AutoZone to get a battery. Hey, Brendan.
Hey, Brendan. Live in Australia.
Oh, love it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing tomorrow, but that's fine because man, do I miss outside.
Meanwhile, we're up here. The snow just keeps, piling up. Bernie, it's officially like mid-body now. Corey said earlier he was trying to hop in the deep snow and he really couldn't see him anymore.
I love those TikToks though. They're so funny. Of the dogs that are like, wee, and then they're just gone.
I'm gonna have to tie like a balloon to his tail after a while.
Seriously, yeah. And Tater, my dog is so little. He's a Chihuahua Yorkie mix. So he's short and even like 5 inches and he would just be gone.
Gone. Yeah. Forget it.
He needs like a
tunnel underneath everything.
I really feel like that would be, or bright red, like parka to kind of keep him.
I know it's
don't get a lot of snow.
I work at a ski resort up here and we are slammed. So I had the flu last week. Lucky me. So I've now had COVID, RSV, and the flu. So I'm hoping we're done with this now.
Please get it all out of the way. First of the year.
Right. But I work at a ski resort. So it's like a germ factory. I love it there. It's a lot of fun. And obviously on days like today where it snowed all day, it's just beautiful.
George is like, meanwhile, 80s here.
What's funny though is I don't miss it. I don't miss the heat one bit. I would rather stand outside and have to scrape my car off for 20 minutes like I did today to get everything off of it than have to stand outside for 20 minutes in Florida. It is beautiful, but I do not miss the heat and I do not miss the crowds. So
summer will be kicking in Arizona here any minute, I'm sure. So
it'll go
anyway,
from 80 to 100.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, hi guys. How have we been? How have the last 2 weeks been? Have we what was our sweary affirmation last time?
Oh my god, I don't even remember.
Well, hello, Mrs. Kathy Smith.
Hi, Mom. For y'all who don't know, that's my mama.
Fuck yes, I can. That was our affirmation.
That was it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
excellent.
Did we all live by that the last couple of weeks? I did not.
I was too sick to live by it. Yeah. So no.
Yeah, I was just trying to maneuver out of the boot and take little baby deer steps without the boot. And so I did not.
See, Joe went to the gym today, so that's good.
All right. Good.
But some people did it. I love
it. Oh, poor George. I had to choose which flip-flops to wear.
I haven't worn flip-flops in 4 months. I don't even know life any other way until now. And now it's constantly socks and leggings and it's a bizarre
19 layers of clothing.
I haven't been this pale in 15 years. Sacrifices, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sacrifices. So what interesting.
Tonight is going to be interesting, guys. We're going to be talking about angel numbers and synchronicities.
Yes.
So, oh, Melissa, it's 18 in KC, and I hate it. Yeah, from what I understand, you guys are not loving much about life these days.
Well, I'm up here like, yeah,
my poor Chiefs.
Oh yeah, KC, poor KC. As an Atlanta native, we were brought up to hate Philly sports teams. So,
oh really?
Yeah, it's that was more of a baseball thing though.
Well, yeah, I mean, and Jennifer lives in Pittsburgh, so I am a diehard Steelers fan. Because they won't let me into the city if I'm not, or if I don't say I am. But I do like the Chiefs. So that was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
On a lot of different levels that day. My mom and I were like, what is happening?
Let me ask you a question. This is totally off radar, and then I swear we'll get back to it, but it ties into the Chiefs. So I saw a video the other day of somebody's cell phone filming a woman in a Philly jersey with a
voodoo
doll, and she's just stabbing the shit out of it. And I'm like, what?
That's crazy you bring that up, because I sent that. There was a girl on TikTok who did a stitch of that. And she had reached out to a woman. I guess she has a podcast, this girl. Mm-hmm. She reached out to a woman who practices voodoo down in New Orleans and was asking her about it. And I sent the video to Zach. And I was like, this is, hello. This is really, really interesting. And the woman was saying it's all about like intention. And, this woman, it looked like she was, she had this, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there's this woman that was captured at the Super Bowl, and she had this teeny tiny little poppet that had a Patrick Mahomes jersey on, and she was repeatedly
just stabbing the hell out of it,
stabbing him in the stomach area of this poppet during the game. And so she reached out to this voodoo practitioner, and the woman was like, it's possible if she knew what she was doing, like she, because if you do that to a poppet, your center, your core is where everything is, your power comes from, right? We all know that. And so he was off. He was way off the whole game. They kind of all were, but it was very odd for Patrick Mahomes to be that off. So it was a really fascinating kind of take that this woman had emailed her back and was like, if this woman knows, and New Orleans based.
Think about that just now.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that would be truly horrible.
It's mean. Why would you do that?
I don't know. Well, and see, the other thing about that too is like what you put out comes back tenfold. So this woman, she might not have known what she was doing. She might not have, whatever. But people have been using magic trauma outcomes for a long time. We have artifacts in our collection. Ooh, ancient Greece.
Interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that idea. I mean, ancient Greece.
Answer me if I'm right. Isn't the term for like a lot of this stuff, sympathetic magic? I think I have that right, but she'll tell me if I'm right or wrong. But those two know so much about, obviously dealing with haunted objects and kind of the origins.
Yes, you're correct.
That kind of magic and
okay,
good. So that is right. Sympathetic magic. I actually learned that in their presentation at Ocean State Marathon when I was there. I'd never heard that.
Cool.
Stuck in my brain. I can't remember anything, but I can remember that.
Yeah. So I mean, she's screwed if she's ever in a Super Bowl, or if she's ever like up, for a really important job, and she's competing against people for like other things in her life, and maybe the love of her life, or maybe like
who knows? The energy will play itself back out.
It'll find her for sure. But the idea that somebody could do that and that it would work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of and then the other thing that this woman said too is that this voodoo practitioner said too that you have to think about, there it is. Yep. You have to think about like just all of the energy in that stadium. And there were a lot more Eagles fans at the Super Bowl than Chiefs fans this year.
Right.
So you have to think about all of that energy being put out against the Chiefs. And so, maybe this woman didn't have anything to do with it, but there was already energy at play that was going against them.
And you're in New Orleans. So the energy, I've not personally been to New Orleans, but I have tons of friends.
Oh, it is so good.
That's what I've heard.
Crackly vibration. I love it.
Right. So I just thought that was crazy. I just thought when I first saw it, I'm like, that's so mean. Like, why would you? I don't know. I guess my position on that is it's using something like that to cause harm to somebody else, and I'm just not down with that.
Yes. Yeah. But and as well as I do that there are a number of people that do that. Mm-hmm. That do, and that have nothing to do with Super Bowls, or I feel bad for the people that had, because the Chiefs were favored to win.
Yeah.
All of the betting said the Chiefs were favored by like X amount of whatever numbers. None of which were angel numbers, by the way. But they were favored to win. And so I feel bad for the people that bet a lot of money. I haven't heard anything on the news about people that like lost their shirt on the game. But yeah. So I really thought that the Chiefs would take it too. I thought it was highly unlikely, but I really thought that they would do it. And then they just, with the first quarter, I was like, this feels way super off. And it never, ever, ever felt on again.
No, and I didn't watch it. I mean, I worked and I was still kind of getting over being sick. And so I didn't watch any of it. But
it was.
When I saw that, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. Anyway. So crazy. Zach and I were just talking about this. Was it yesterday, Zach? I had sent him. Zach and I are like you and me. And we're sending memes and TikToks and videos on like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And so I had just sent that to him and I was like, ooh, this is interesting.
It is interesting. And I think a good reiteration of
maybe voodoo is something we'll get into a little bit more like down the road, just to kind of, talk about it.
It's so misunderstood so often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, as far as a religion goes, it's actually a pretty beautiful religion and what it stands for and what it does. But of course,
it really is. And I'm telling you, like, New Orleans is a vibe. There's no place like it. Everywhere that I have been so far, and I've been a fair amount of places. I mean, I'm not like a world traveler, but the vibration down in New Orleans is not just like voodoo. It's just like the culture and the people that live there are so proud, and it's just that seeps into every single brick of every single building. There's no place like it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard it almost like hums when you're there. It
does. It's a very crackly energy. Oh God, I love it so much. And I was only there 4 hours before we had to drive on. But yeah, it was amazing.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So, wait, here.
So intense.
Voodoo is beautiful, but also so intense. But like Carrie said, NOLA has a different vibe. The Voodoo Museum is small, but the energy in that space is wow. I can only imagine. George was there with Andrea during the Witches Ball and Vampire Festival. I bet that was quite a vibe. Holy shit.
I bet that was quite a vibe. Oh, man.
You and me both, Mary Beth. I also prefer being out in nature somewhere away from people. I'm a self-imposed hermit. I mean, I'd be the first one to admit it. My friends that are close to me will tell you that. It is very hard to get me out of the house. I mean, it's not hard to get me outside, but it's hard to get me to like go be social and go do stuff. Like I just, it's not really my thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
We covered the Super Bowl. We covered voodoo dolls that we weren't really intending on talking about, but I did think it was an interesting point of discussion.
Absolutely. It always is. There's always room to talk about voodoo dolls.
Always. Why not? So now we thought we were kind of trying to figure out what we wanted to discuss. And we kind of came and settled on angel numbers. And then I think because angel numbers are also considered a synchronicity, we might as well just hit that too while we're at it.
Yeah.
So, how do you want to start this? I did upload like a chart of general repeating numbers that people see in their kind of general meetings. You want me to start there?
Yeah, that's perfect. I show of hands in the audience, how many of you notice angel numbers in your daily life? Because I know, you and I do. Zach and I always text each other at 11:11. Morning, night, doesn't matter. Every time it's 11:11, we're like 11:11.
He does the same thing. 11:11 a.m. or p.m.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Jonathan, Joe says he's never heard of them, so the timing of this is epic.
Perfect.
Cody and have. I think
I love them because I feel like and we'll get into like the meaning behind them and like the belief behind them. But Mary Beth, no idea. So that this is good.
We're gonna learn you something today, as we'd say in the
South. Yeah. We're
all the
gonna
time.
learn you something.
Zach constantly, Melissa sure have. Jonathan says he sees 911 a lot. Hi, Sandy.
I just get back from dog class. It's so good dinner.
Catch us on the replay. All right. So maybe what I'll start out with, because I did pull this up, because I know the definition of synchronicity, by definition, is the simultaneous occurrence of events which appear significantly related but have no discernible causal connection. I know a lot of us who believe in synchronicities also don't believe in coincidence.
True.
So maybe a good show of hands on people who've heard that before or also subscribe to that theory.
Yeah.
I don't believe in coincidences. Too much has gone on in the last few years and my whole life. Sorry, my hair is like feeling, and so I keep like, weird. But I think in understanding more about synchronicities, I much more strongly believe that I don't believe in coincidences. Like I just, strong faith in the universe. Nothing happens on accident, in my opinion.
I agree.
Like Melissa says 100% me, either no such thing. So basically the gist of angel numbers, and I'll put up this graphic here in a second, but series of repeating numbers, whether you see them in 3s or 4s, or maybe you're looking at a phone number and it has 4 7s in it or 4 3s in it or whatever. Like you start, and the more you start recognizing repeating numbers, the more they seem to be around you. And to me, I always kind of look at them as like a nod from the universe, like a you're good kind of thing. To me, it always feels like a reassurance type thing. How does that usually kind of come for you? I don't know how you feel about that.
I agree. That, and like maybe if I'm kind of vacillating between two choices that I need to be making, like a fork in the road kind of situation, then it generally, they will show up to kind of say, hey, you're on the right path, or that kind of thing. So there's something very comforting about angel numbers. And they generally are, I don't know if this is true for everybody, but for me, for certain, and I know that like when I'm talking to Zach about it, but 11:11, I see that all the time. All the time. It's either the time, or it's the amount on a receipt, or it's just like that number just kind of all around me. Yes. So that specific one, not like 111, it's got to be 11:11, and it generally is it's just sort of like, to me it feels like a nudge, like, hey, we're here, we're with you, whether I feel like I'm alone or whether I'm just sort of lost or what have you, or not at all. It's like a normal day and everything is fine. There's something very comforting about seeing that specific angel number from me. So I don't know if there's a certain like angel numbers for the folks in the audience that do kind of look for them and notice them and feel a connection to them. But numbers have been around since before there was language. There was numbers. There was before we could actually like name things, we were counting them, and then we would assign a meaning to that count. So numbers have been around for ever. I usually see them after having bad anxiety. How do you feel after you see them? Do you feel that kind of gives you a tiny like modicum of comfort after you have bad anxiety? Or if you want, if you're comfortable, talking about it, like, let us know. Like, how do you generally feel when you see them?
And Mary Beth, I've starred your story, and we're going to get to that when we get into the more of the synchronicity side of it, because that is interesting. We'll get into that. So I have starred that, so hopefully we don't miss that later.
Cool.
But I'm that way. 11. Mine other ones are always threes. Threes.
Threes have been a big one for me lately.
Yep. And then when I moved up here, when like everything was so crazy, I was seeing eights, lots of eights, and eights is not
cool.
Really one that I see.
Yeah. So you're not going to find 888 on a clock. So
right. Yeah. It's usually on a license plate or price of something or on a billboard somewhere, some random thing. But 888 was popping up a lot. So
really, that's cool.
Pop this up. So this
is let's see what they are.
These are the angel numbers. Of course, you could go like way down the rabbit hole with what these bad boys mean, but this is kind of a good introduction of their general meaning. And if you see different meanings, that is also okay. So if what you've learned,
this isn't like a hard and fast rule for these numbers.
I just wanted to give us something to look at, especially for people who aren't familiar with angel numbers. So typically 111 is intuition, trust your gut and listen to your heart. 222 is alignment. You're in the right place in the right time. I see twos a lot. 333, support. Your spirit guides are around you, sending you love, support, and guidance. I see that one a lot. 444.
That makes sense why I'm seeing that a lot lately then.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Universe on 444, the universe and spirit guides are protecting you. 555, change is coming. 666, which is interesting because people always assume 666 is negative. It's not.
Yeah.
We thank Hollywood, I think, probably for a lot of that.
Right. To that it's the devil's number and
right.
Which,
but it's
if we're gonna be fair, he is an angel. So
fallen, but an angel nonetheless.
Right, exactly. So but no, it doesn't have anything to do with Satan.
Yeah, it's nothing devil related. It's time to wake up to your higher spiritual truth, kind of like a slight slap around, like, hey, pay attention. 777, we all know is luck. That also applies here. 888 is balance. Everything is falling into place and it's meant to be. 999 is release. It's time to let go of what's no longer serving you. So you can screenshot this if you want. I can also put this in the group later if you guys want me to, just to have like an easy point of reference for these, because
we could do that.
Because I think once we start talking about them, you're going to start noticing them. So it'll be fun to see what people kind of pick up on over the next like 2 weeks.
I think so too. Yeah. Because I think, especially for folks that maybe didn't know like what angel numbers were, that kind of thing, you will probably be surprised at how often you see them. You just didn't know what they were.
Right.
So,
right.
And
I think it helps you pay attention more too. Like, I think, if we're running under the pretense that, I know generally for me, it's a nudge from the universe. I'm always grateful to see them. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think it adds a little, to your point, like it adds a little context to repeating numbers you're already seeing that maybe you didn't understand before.
Yeah.
Like Tom, I feel comforted. It's like them acknowledging it and they're letting me know they are there, which I love.
Yeah.
All right.
There are so many different, and that was one thing that I had been talking to my best friend Jennifer about, is like, and they don't necessarily, just because they're called angel numbers, guys, that doesn't necessarily mean they're just coming from angels. They could be coming from your loved ones, your spirit guides, it's not just angels that are sending you these numbers.
Right.
So I don't want you to like think that it's only the angels that are sending you these kind of messages or whatever. But if you stop to think about what is going either on in that moment when you see an angel number or what is going on in your life when you see an angel number, you might find that whatever this number is really does make sense for you in that moment or time in your life. And I was telling Jennifer that, like, if you stop and really just start to like, and we're going to get more into synchronicities as well, but if you just kind of stop and like, instead of saying, hey, well, that was weird, stop and just kind of ruminate on it for a little bit. And you're going to be like, that actually makes a little bit more sense.
Yes.
Things that seem sort of out of place, you'll find that they're not. And then they could be very well be messages from loved ones, guides, angels.
Right.
Me and Erin. I mean, you don't know the powers we have.
I do find them interesting though, because I think too, that was one of the first things when I started kind of getting into this stuff, was something I started noticing almost right off the bat. But again, I think it's because you're paying more attention. Ooh, I like what Tom says here. When I see them make a wish, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really
and we always grew up with that. Like, it's 11:11, make a wish.
Right.
Yeah. Ever since we were kids, we've always done that. But I didn't know that there was anything beyond 11:11. Like, I didn't know.
I didn't either. Just thought it was neat that they were all in a row, you know.
Right.
But like chakras, all I used to know was that the colors were pretty. I mean, that was really all I thought about when I saw them. I was like, oh, those are pretty. You know, had no idea all this other stuff was behind it.
Right.
It's crazy. And then I think too, when we're talking about angel numbers, and it's an easy segue into just general synchronicities. I mean, how does that present for you a lot? Like, I know we both have had a ton of that. It's kind of hard. I was thinking about today, I'm like, it's hard to narrow down which ones to even talk about, really.
It kind of is. I think a lot of well, I don't know. Well, okay, so I think a lot of what happens with me is I will be, like, say, driving down the road, and then, like, for whatever reason, like, a song will pop into my head, and then it's the very next song that plays on my shuffle.
Right.
Or my mom and I will be talking about something, and then we will, like, hear a commercial on the radio having something to do with that, and we're always like,
with the French toast.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was weird. I swear to God, there's a reason the show is called that. Because we say it all the time.
We do. Yeah. Music, I think, is a big one. I know. There's one instance that popped into my head that I was kind of a series of them. So Justin and I were driving up to Georgia last summer. He was going to have like a boys' weekend for their fantasy football draft, and I was driving up to Andrea's for Miss Carolyn's celebration of life, right?
Right.
So, of course, we're in the throes of all this crazy Conjuring stuff, and like it's just been a year, and I just was having a moment where I was just like really missing them, like the spirits, and then obviously knowing where I was going.
Right.
And "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd was on. Right. That was already on. So that was kind of where my mind was already going with that song. We got the windows down. We're on this country road. We're singing, whatever. As soon as that song ended, a cardinal flew in front of my window. We weren't going fast because, again, country road, cardinal.
Sure.
So that to me meant, it was a little ironic that we're thinking about Miss Carolyn and then cardinal. And then the next song after Pink Floyd, right after the cardinal, comes Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues, which those of you who are familiar with the Conjuring story, and specifically Andrea's books, that song is very near and dear to our hearts. And it's not something I had ever looked up on a playlist. It's only something I would just happen to listen to if I happen to be in Harrisville. I know Satori would sometimes play it when they were, like cleaning the house or whatever, because the Spears like that song. But I was thinking about them specifically. So I get Wish You Were Here, Cardinal, Nights in White Satin. And I just tears, because I knew that wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah.
Somebody over there knew I needed those things, whether it was Miss Carolyn or whether it was somebody else or a guy. Like, it didn't matter to me who it came from.
Yeah.
But the timing of it was just too perfect. And I couldn't chalk that up to coincidence.
Right, exactly. I think, and I remember thinking when I was younger, like, well, that was, what's that? Like, we always used to say, like, oh, well, what a coinky dink,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a thing. But
Yeah.
once I got older and I started to like learn more about um spirituality and the
Mm-hmm.
abilities that I've got, and I mean, and this is years and years and years before Andrea blew my third eye open, but that I've actually been living in this world.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, I think there are no such things as coincidence. Everything, if you, at least if you believe in um spirit and the light, and that they're always with you, they're always around you, then it
Yeah.
just kind of, all those weird things that maybe you encountered that maybe you never forgot, that you just kind of wrote off as a coincidence,
Right.
you start to think, actually, maybe that wasn't such a coincidence after all.
Right.
I
100% agree.
I I have so many moments where we will be talking about my grandmother, my mom and I, or me and my mom and Coy will be talking about my grandmother, and then something utterly random will find in the house that was hers, or that she gave one of us, or that she, you know, used to love, or what have you.
Right.
That there's something very, I've always found very comforting
Mm-hmm.
and purposeful
Yeah.
to those sort of synchronicities, to those sort of things that you feel like a coincidence, but you know that they're not.
There's more.
There's more to it. And I know that how does that affect our free will? Give me a for instance,
Yeah,
because
I don't think it does. I think for at least
yeah.
our purposes, to me, a synchronicity doesn't necessarily change anything, right? Like, to
Mm-mm.
me, it's kind of like Carrie said, it's a reassurance. You're on the right path. You're doing the right thing, or you're going to be fine. Or a lot of
Yeah.
times, to me, it's just like a nudge from the universe. But in an instance, like with the cardinal and the song and the whatever, it was just somebody was trying to say, you're going to be fine. This is okay. We're okay. You're okay. As the dumpster fire is rolling behind me or whatever. But I don't think
They're just towing it with down your country road.
right in middle of nowhere, Georgia. But I think a lot of times I don't even catch them until, like Carrie said, like later something will happen. I'm much more attuned to it now because I'm always expecting it. So I'm better at picking it up when it's happening. But sometimes I don't think about it till later. If something
Yeah.
happens as it's supposed to, that kind of negates our choices.
Um,
Your point.
to a point, but not really. Um, so I'm
I got a
trying to
good one for that.
think. Do
I got a
you?
good one. I do.
Okay.
So my life the last year, we'll sum this up fast. Especially specific to my divorce, right? I have, how do I explain this succinctly? Okay. So Justin and I split up I moved in October, and we're still very good friends. And I have been surprisingly okay. I mean, I have moments where I just basically lost
Yeah.
my person, kind of, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But the 3 years before that, he had started traveling all the time. So the universe was sort of preparing me for this part, because I think it would be a vastly different situation if Justin and I were together every day all the time, like most people are that don't deal with a spouse that travels.
Sure.
I'd be a puddle on this floor right here. Like, I wouldn't know how to manage my life, right?
Right.
So, but I didn't see it that way. It was like, okay, he's on the road. That I started traveling. I found this great group of friends. Especially up here in New England. That wasn't a coincidence. The universe, in my opinion, was preparing me for the falling apart of my life.
Yeah.
But I was already prepared. I have the support system in place that I I need between, you guys, my family, but especially my people up here moving to New England, because now I'm up here now. But then also what life would be like without him, because he would travel like he'd be gone 2-3 weeks at a time, home for 6 days.
Yeah.
I think that was going to happen regardless, but I just wasn't aware at the time of the synchronicities that were happening. Now, this is obviously much longer term, but the universe was preparing me for my life to fall apart so that I can manage it and navigate it in a safe manner without going back to drinking, because I'm sober, and being okay with being alone, right? Because there's a very big difference between being alone and being lonely. And I feel like my life was going that way. It didn't matter what I did.
Yeah.
But I was paying, like I can see it back now where it was the universe was setting me up. And he and I talked about this last night. He was like, I feel the same way. He's like, this would be much harder if we were with each other all the time, 24 hours a day, right?
Right. It would feel much more like a rug pull.
Yeah. It's less like losing a limb.
Right.
The way that it's gone.
Right.
So I don't know if that answers Mary Beth's question, but in my mind, like the universe was sending me down this path, but I've kind of given up trying to figure out where the universe is sending me. As Andrew would say, I've learned to just flip on my back and float and just deal with whatever's coming my way.
Yeah.
Because I can't change it. I can't spell the same way he and I had to say it. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a long synchronicity, but none of that happened by accident. None of that was a coincidence. I just wasn't aware of what was coming necessarily. Does that make sense?
Not any of that negated either one of your free will.
Correct. Nope.
So I think that kind of, I don't know, I feel like that might constitute a little bit of a deeper dive into what your beliefs are.
What your belief system is, yeah.
What your belief system is. So for example, mine, I believe that I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we have all lived multiple lifetimes. And the reason that we have is because that teaches our soul to grow.
Yeah.
There's lessons that we need to be learning in each successive lifetime.
Right.
And I believe that when we die in this lifetime and we go back up and we have a life review. I think everybody's heard that, when you die, you go up and you kind of have a life review and you see like all of the decisions that you made and how that affected not only your life, but the lives of people that you were in contact with. Right. And I think that you are like, okay, well, I learned these lessons in this lifetime as Carrie Hopper. And when I come back, I want to come back and I want to be, I want to learn these lessons or this one or that one or what have you, so that I can continue my soul's growth.
Right.
So I think that those are predetermined. And I think that no matter what, for the most part, there is a caveat to that. No matter what, my life in my next life is going to take that path to be able to learn those lessons. If I don't learn those lessons, well, guess what? They're on the docket for the next time.
Hooray!
Yeah, we're gonna. And anybody that knows me knows I love to learn a lesson more than once, and the hard way. So I think that synchronicities are. No, I don't think in that regard there are any coincidences, but I also don't think that is going to negate our free will, because I feel like we had a giant hand in determining what our life and our choices in our journey were going to look like before we came back down.
I would
and so can that path or that journey be easily derailed? Absolutely, because of our free will or because of the free will of others.
Yeah. Very well explained, ma'am. Well done.
So thanks.
I think that was true. This is interesting. Find out on a Christmas day that Marie had passed. I was crying, walked in the kitchen, and 11:11 was on everything. I lost it. Yeah. And then Liz says Marie came through to me too. I see corgis everywhere, all the time.
She's been a lot in. Girl. Yeah, and she's been a lot in the shop too.
Has she?
Mm-hmm. Like just like certain, go through like customers and like the last time that like emails were sent or whatever, her name has been popping up a lot in the shop.
Yeah, I had gone to, speaking of synchronicities, I had gone because I obviously found out this on a Christmas day as well. I found the obituary And I knew I needed to get to the ocean. The ocean, even though I'm light years away from St. Augustine, is only an hour and a half from where I live in Maine. And I was like, I have to get to the beach. Marie always told me I needed to go see the Portland headlight. I'm going to the Portland headlight today. So I hopped in my car and I drove out there, and it was icy and it was snow, and I had the bean with me, and I just stood there in the ocean air, and I just said to her, I made it. I'm here. You told me to come here. I'm here. I just talked to her for a minute, and then I turned around, and not 2 minutes later, what walks by? A corgi puppy that looks exactly like her dog Finnegan. To a
Next
T.
time you see a corgi puppy, take it and bring it to me.
I thought about stealing it.
I love them so much. My mother loves corgis too.
So cute.
I just am not. The shop is doing well, but I'm not making fuck you money yet, and I cannot afford to finance a dog. Yes. They're very expensive dogs.
Yes.
I will have one day, but today's not that day. Unless I steal one.
But now, like, I see corgis everywhere, and and maybe to some degree, I'm kind of, but they pop up in weird places. Like, I color on my phone. Like, I have these coloring apps on my phone. Corgis everywhere. I've been doing that app for like 6 years. Never seen a corgi, and now it's corgis everywhere. Or on my little videos I leave on for being like, it's just weird, and I don't think that's coincidence. And I do think it's interesting that she comes through for us in different ways.
Yeah.
That's another synchronicity that bitch is still here doing what she does. Like, she is very much still present. And to me, that timing of going to the Portland headlight, because I knew she wanted me to go there. I promised her I would. And then I turn around and there's a corgi puppy that looked like Finnegan, because I would see Finnegan on our bi-weekly calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just,
by the way, guys, before I forget, I'm so sorry. Before I forget, the shop was able to donate $50 to the Corgi Rescue in Marie's name for the month of January.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Oh, here we go. Mary Beth, as Baron goes God for a long time because he didn't rescue me from my mother. It took me years to understand that he actually did. He made me strong enough and smart enough to not continue. Yep. That cycle.
Yeah, that's those aha moments. Yeah. See, and that's kind of, and you're right. I could talk philosophy for hours and hours and hours and hours. And all kinds of different, like, belief systems. I love it. I'm fascinated by all of it. I want to learn every single thing. But I think that like you were mentioning free will. There was somebody that I knew that not that long ago was murdered. And that wasn't the way. I believe that we all choose how we die.
I agree.
And when we die, we just don't remember it when we get here, right? Like, that would suck out the joy and the mystery of life. And we're like, well, I'm checking out of here in about 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, we don't remember any of that. But
but that's all part of that soul contract, which we'll get into.
Exactly.
We'll go through that. Yeah.
So he that wasn't the plan he had for his life, but somebody else made a decision, because we have free will, made a decision to murder my friend.
Right. And
then, so his soul was then traumatized. Obviously, he was murdered, and he wasn't, that wasn't how it was supposed to go.
Right.
So he was young. He was like 35. And so I think that free will ruins the party in other ways. It's not necessarily synchronicities or things that are happening that are not coincidence, that are kind of taking that from us. It's us taking it from each other. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Sounded kind of convoluted coming out of my mouth.
No, it makes sense. I think it makes sense. It's a you get into soul contracts and you're talking about those kinds of things. The worst gift out of a soul contract is that when you come back and shoot out of the chute, you now don't remember any of that shit. So now you spend this lifetime remembering.
Yeah.
But there's a beauty in that too, in the not knowing, because how much would we hold back in our lives? Like, what would our lives look like if we knew the lesson that we signed up for at whatever the round table in the ether or wherever it is that we go.
Right.
Like, it would change everything. And I think
we might be tempted to make different decisions.
Correct. Like, I don't know how many times I've done whatever lesson I'm on, and I still don't know the answer to that lesson yet. I mean, I've had a few answers of some of them.
Yeah.
But I also don't care to know. I'm finally at a point in my life where I like to just roll with it. And my mom will tell you, I have not been a person who's typically like that. I need A, B, C. Like, if I'm doing admin work, I'm still that way. But now I'm just like, okay, we live in Maine now. Like, okay, we work like, I don't care. Let's just enjoy whatever opportunity comes that way, because I know there's also the chance that somebody could decide to come and shoot me, or I get sick early, or I'm just decided I'm going to enjoy my life no matter what the lesson is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Here we go. Every decision you make.
Exactly. And I think that's another, I think, Erin, when we were before we started the show, did we talk about maybe one day getting into the butterfly effect? Or was that me and Laura talking about
haunting? Do you want to explain what that is? Because that is another level of synchronicity, in my opinion.
It is, yeah. So the butterfly effect is essentially the idea that a butterfly could flap its wings in Asia and change like the wind or whatever going on, and then that could like roll around the earth and like change weather patterns and things like that here in the United States. That's just a very generic explanation of the butterfly effect, but that every little thing has an outcome for the world, and basically,
or you like
like
on a more macro level or a more micro level, you go to leave your house, you hop in the car, and then you realize that you forgot to turn off your curling iron or whatever. So you're like, shit. So you get out of the car, you run back in the house, and then on your way to work, you see a horrific accident that you weren't in.
There's a lot of that with 9/11. A lot of people in New York that they left late, they whatever, and they weren't in the Twin Towers when they were struck. So there's a lot of, so that's very much,
is that the same principle? It's
kind of the same principle, yes, that like any action has an equal reaction. And so it's sort of like we're all connected in ways that we don't even comprehend. So you never know like when something you do or say or think is going to maybe have some sort of like ricochet effect, maybe even to somebody you don't know.
Right.
But I think that I mean the butterfly effect, we can, and if you guys want us to, we certainly will on another episode go into a much deeper dive about that. But essentially that's sort of like what it is, like of a,
kind of in a nutshell. Yeah.
Kind of in a nutshell. Yeah.
That's like
I think
a form of synchronicity where
it is. Yes.
You get to work and you're like talking to your coworker about this accident or whatever the situation is. And then you're like, oh, maybe I needed to check. Like maybe the reason I had to check because 9 times out of 10, you go back and the curling iron's already off, but you still got out of the car. You still went back in the house. You know what I mean? You're getting some examples. At an awards banquet, made a man use the bathroom before we left. If we had left 5 minutes earlier, the truck that skidded across the road, jumped the rain, and guy was ejected would have hit us. Prime example.
Yeah, prime example.
Zach, if I avoided a certain relationship, a lot of things would be different. However, that started my spiritual path. So perhaps some of these soul contracts hurt at first, but are supposed to happen. Also agree with that.
Yeah.
Joseph, same thing with me, Zach. I was meant to go through what I went through with my ex-girlfriend. So it's like, I think a lot of times, hindsight's always 20/20, right? Like we can see the lesson later. What is it? Andrew always says the test always comes before the lesson in soul school.
Yep. The test always comes before the lesson. And thinking about that one phrase, looking back my whole life since I was a child, that has always been the case. Always been the case. And I have failed many a test where that fucking lesson came around, like many times. But
believe the baby I miscarried because his father was going to die. Yeah, it's just there's all these weird.
And that could very well have been.
You never know.
You never know. I think the beauty to life, and that's what I always tell people. They're like, well, if you're psychic, Carrie, why can't you give me winning lottery numbers?
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. One, psychics, mediums, all of us. I don't think you will find any psychic medium that says, I know all of the answers to everything all the time. Because if they do, they're not real, and you need to run away from them as fast as you can. And you can tell them I said to do that. But
yeah, we
only get what spirit wants us to know.
Bingo.
We only get what spirit wants us to know. We don't know everything, because I think that would ruin the mystery and the fun and the adventure of living a human experience.
100% agree.
So that's why when I do Akashic Records readings, especially for myself, I'm doing my own records readings, the Lords of the Records and my masters, teachers, and loved ones are not going to answer every question that I have.
Right.
About my own soul history, because they don't need to know everything now as I'm living this human experience.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I have certainly always learned everything the hard way. And a lot of those things have come at great cost to my sanity and my, there's a reason I'm sober. Some pretty heavy damage done a long time ago. And I think, but again, if I hadn't gone through that, my first husband was incredibly abusive. It's not a subject I really go over much because it was a long time ago. We've mostly moved past it, but it took me 6 years to put my life back together. But I realized if I hadn't gone through that experience, where would I be?
Mm-hmm.
And would I be as empathetic towards fellow humans? Would I, have gone down this path at some point? People used to ask me, well, do you regret marrying him? I mean, I didn't regret the way I allowed him to treat me, but I can't spend my life regretting a situation that really made me who I am as a person that I am now, right? It took a lot of work to kind of put all that back together. But again, no coincidences, right?
Right. Could you have done without the pain? Absolutely. Sure. But there's growth in that.
Yep.
There's growth in that. Whether you want to grow or not, that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to learn. We're all here to try to, I like to think, be of service in some way to others. Maybe if it's not to each other, maybe it's to, I think we're all meant to be of service in some form or another. And I think that knowing the answer before,
right?
No,
it takes the fun out of a lot of things.
It does take the fun out of a lot of things.
We can't. I mean, it's kind of like, are we ever going to know everything about this field that we're in, whether it's the metaphysical side or the paranormal side? I don't want to know, because then what the hell am I going to do with my life? If I have all the answers and somebody hands me a book and goes, here's everything you want to know. Well, shit. Now what?
That will just make me really bossy spirit guide up in the light once I'm done reincarnating.
Also true. Pain is there, joy. You couldn't appreciate that. That's a fact. Because again, balance, right? There's always balance. There's dark, there's light. Yeah. And anyone who only walks solely one or the other and denies the other side
doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. And you're missing out if you're not exploring both sides of yourself. Dark, light, pain, joy. That's a very good way to say it.
Yeah, I agree.
She said, not what I said, what Mary Beth said.
Right. Everything we say makes a lot of sense, guys, if you're, one of us. If you're either Carrie or Erin.
Trainwreck starts running behind us.
Right, yeah.
But I
do you have a crashing sound that you can play?
What would it sound like, our train? Oh my God. There'd be screaming and laughing. A lot of F-bombs, probably.
Hold on.
So Tori would be on the other end of the train, just like, oh my God.
Right.
But yeah, I think, with the angel numbers and the synchronicity stuff, to me, once I started really recognizing them, So true, Zach.
Exactly.
All sunshine and rainbows, which is why we do the show. 100% why we do the show.
Yeah.
Ooh,
we should actually do a show about shadow work.
Yeah, we should. Spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure another round is coming soon, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good idea. Thanks, Zach.
Good idea, Zach. But yeah, I think I think I started letting go of control more because I used to very much like, you don't quit a job but on another job.
That like, because I can't do that. I can't do that. So truly, what is that like?
I think it took me a while to get there, but I think because I so strongly have given all of that to the universe. My mom is very much she grew up Catholic, so she's got a very strong faith. She's not a religious person, but she's got a very strong faith.
Sure.
And dealt with some situations where she's just like handing it over to somebody else because I can't fix it, or I can't do anything about it. And for me, I started feeling that way because I know there's something bigger helping me here. So what's the point in me stressing out and freaking out and trying to control it all? Because again, all these synchronicities are popping up, whether it's angel numbers or a certain music is a big one for me. Like
me too.
The song comes on at the perfect time for me all the time.
All the time.
And oddly with Miss Carolyn, it's usually James Taylor, Fire and Rain. I know when she's around when Fire and Rain comes on. But I've gotten up those over the years, and I so firmly believe that the universe is taking care of me. I don't have anything to be worried about.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Now, do I have days where I'm like, oh shit, I don't.
Life is chaotic and poorly, and not often in good ways. So yeah, we're all going to have worries at some point. That's just living in the world at all today, back then, in the future. There's always going to be worries for humans. It just is what it is.
It's just part of being human, and
it's just part of being alive. Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
It's not worth it.
I found that my life got I guess easier is a good word once I found somewhere to put my faith into.
Yes.
Well, I always had faith in God. Always. But I didn't know where to put my faith in everything else, because I know that God, I like, without getting too, religious, I always had faith in God, but as I grew up, I had faith in my family. Mm-hmm. But as far as like myself, did I have faith in myself? I don't know. Do I need faith in myself? So it was a big source of comfort and a lot of weight off my shoulders once I found all the different things I could put my faith into. And there's a lot of them.
Well, and you hit on a good point too, because I know for me, having gone through Catholic school for 12 years, it was not a good experience.
I have yet to hear anybody that went to Catholic school that was like, it was the best.
Especially as a female. But I think, and it wasn't that I was angry at God. That was not true, because I've always known there was something bigger. Mm-hmm. But I had a really hard time getting behind any of that. And a lot of that just stems from my experience, right? And so when I started doing energy work specifically, setting intentions and, working on different issues for people, that it dawned on me, I am praying. And it took me like 6 months to even believe that before I could finally admit, okay, now I have the link between the two. I didn't know what to put my faith in either, because I didn't trust what I grew up with.
Yeah.
I like what Ken says.
I do like this a lot. Yeah.
Follow your own path. So true.
Yep.
But for me, it was, I've made peace with that now. Right. And that was something I really struggled with for a lot of years, with believing in God, because I didn't believe the bullshit that we were taught behind it. It's not that I went to a terrible Catholic school. It's just, it didn't resonate, I guess. But getting into this, it was like, oh, I get it now. I remember having a conversation with them. Like, I understand now how you can toss shit up to God every which way from Sunday and actually believe it. I get it now.
Yeah.
But I had to find, like that said, I had to find my own way first. And you're the same way.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's interesting. it's really interesting how all this stuff all like really ties in together.
It does. And I love to see everybody's comments and like their reactions, and people have a difficult time grasping when they're not in control. This is such, we say it all the time. We say it every single week, is we love this community that we're all building together. Erin and I are building this community. We're all doing it together. And man, are we having fun and learning a lot.
I know.
We passed away long after we were divorced, but we stayed friends. One day I realized it was his birthday and sent a wish to heaven right away. Or wedding.
See, that's not coincidence. I don't care what anybody says. It's just
I love that. Oh God, I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful.
But
I love it. I love that.
I think too, when it's stuff like that, it just is such a warming feeling that they are always around you. Like my mom has always said that, and I didn't really understand that till I kind of got into this. But like, I think that's so like I know that.
It is.
That helps with the control, because I don't need to be in control. Other people are navigating and making sure I'm on the right path, and you know when you're off the rock.
Oh my God, I was just gonna say that, and you know when you have strayed way too far from the path.
You're not banging your head against the wall, like everything's a cluster. You then it's like, okay, now you got to get back on the.
Yeah,
you were doing it right before. Now you need to go back to where kind of where you came from.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, it was his thank you. Yeah. For me, it's almost always.
I love that. I think that's the one thing that a lot of people ask me is like, do they still feel like if somebody, like they're talking about like somebody that has passed away, do they still feel bad? Are they still mad about this fight we had? Are they still this, that, and the other thing? And no, they're not, because those are human emotions: jealousy, anger, envy, spite, being petty. Those are all human emotions. They just don't exist in the light.
Yeah.
They just don't exist in the light. And it's very hard for us as humans to believe that like we die and then all of a sudden we're just not bogged down with some of this emotional weight that we all carry around with us.
Yeah.
And I think that I try really hard, and I've been really actually quite successful in forgiving people that I've been with. And Melissa, I'm not saying anything about you and like your husband and divorce or whatever. It just made me think of like exes of my own, forgiving them or forgiving myself for being the toxic one that needed to be dumped.
Yeah.
Or them being toxic to me and I needed to get rid of them. Like just kind of forgiving that and letting that go.
Yeah.
Because I live so staunchly in the veil. I live so much there that, and in the light and connected to spirit, that I know that some of this human stuff just doesn't exist there.
Right.
So it makes it easier for me to kind of filter it out of my own time down here and forgive things and people that I wouldn't necessarily have done before. And I get those synchronicities, those angel numbers, those songs like Melissa,
the little nudges,
the little nudges that say, hey, you know what?
Feathers.
That's for you. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think,
to have
for some people
or whatever.
Yeah. Or pennies. I know, like Andrew's for April's always drops pennies.
Yes. Oh my God. I thank you for bringing that up. Talk about the pennies in case people don't know what that is.
So Andrea's sister April died in 2017 unexpectedly, and she's left them for me too. She leaves pennies everywhere in like the weirdest places. I was cleaning up the tents at the farm by the pet cemetery, and there was a penny on the back side of one of the tents. Like nobody was back there, just or like my mom's brother, Tommy, he died in 1984, leaves white feathers everywhere.
Oh,
and now he's started pulling her towel off
a lot of white feathers too.
He likes to play here. Yeah. Mom's popping in Catholic calisthenics. Love that. But my uncle Tommy likes to kind of joke with her and mess with her a little bit. But like feathers are his thing. My sister, sees the same falcon all the time. We believe that's our Uncle Mark. So like, there's all these little things that are constantly going on in the world around us. It's just picking up on it and starting to look for them.
Yeah, my cousin Crystal, she had a daughter, and then she had a son after her, and his name was William. We called him Wild Man Willie, and he was born with severe birth defects, and they said that he wasn't going to last and live longer than, God, I want to say like days or weeks. And he ended up living until he was 9 years old.
Wow.
And when he passed away, she started finding all of these pennies. And I can't remember if she had said to him, because he didn't talk, he was nonverbal, he didn't even, I mean, he didn't walk, none of that. Like, he was aware of his surroundings, but he was very disabled. But if she had told him to like send me pennies, she started finding them everywhere after he passed away. Everywhere. And so now she'll like post, and she like the crazy places she'll find pennies from Willie. And I'm like, oh my God. So the second you said pennies, I was like, oh yeah, talk about the pennies.
Yeah. Well, and like my mom,
so great. I love that.
I do too. This is another big one for us. Like I'm the only one really of the 4 kids my mom had that really remembers her mom, because mom had lost in 84. So sky blue pink is what we always say. That was something, and we always know that's my Grammy and mom, actually, we had sky blue pink. Yes, big sky blue pink yesterday. But that for us, like as a family, is always, Grammy's around, like sky blue pink. The sky is perfectly blue, but the clouds are pink or whatever.
Yes.
But those are kinds of, I think what I love about talking this stuff out is because you're all going to start, if you're not already, kind of
thinking back. Yeah.
Things are going to start popping up for you, and you're going to be, I would love when we come back in 2 weeks, or put it in the group message or in the group somewhere, like things that you're noticing, whether it's numbers or pennies or whatever it is. It'll be interesting to see if this kind of kickstarts that for people, because you're going to start paying more attention to things like that.
Right. Yeah. And be thinking about like what's going on in your life, what you're doing in that moment. And we'll put that, Erin will put that like descriptive chart in the chat. You can reference it and whatever those numbers are. See if that, if you find that makes sense for you. It's such a wonderful, I will forever say that the hardest thing to do in this life is to live it.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful when you start to pick up on things from spirit or loved ones, or, things that just seem like they're a coincidence. But if you think a little bit harder, you might realize that it wasn't coincidental for you at all.
Connections. Yeah. Forget Melissa talking about a family member as a hawk. Smell of grandmother's rose soap. Like, there's just all these little things. And then I just grabbed this because I should have grabbed it before the show, but I bought this for exactly this reason a couple of years ago.
The Book of Psychic Symbols. I love that.
What things stand for. So if you guys are interested in this book, I mean, I do reference it on occasion, but it's, all kinds of things and what they represent. And it's just something I use kind of more of a reference. And it's not like a reading book. It's just
sure. Well, you know what? If you should go through it, Erin, and find something that like caused you that day, throw it in a group thing.
Let's just randomly pick a page and see what comes up.
Yes, let's do that.
Oh, I got to go to the list first, though.
You were good with the cards last time.
That was nuts. Headlight.
I'm sorry, what?
Headlights.
Okay, I thought you said headlights. I was like, I don't know. Pick a new one.
Headlights may often refer to an actual car or motorcycle lighting your way, as in seeing the light, coming to understand a situation, illuminating your path or journey through life. May refer to shining a light or spotlight on a situation or direction. May suggest helping you to see your way through a situation. So there's like just all these like
headlines.
Just, like what if you see random headlights in a place you shouldn't see it? Like, it just,
Okay, that's pretty.
You should go looking for headlights, but I'm saying this book is like, you see something cardinal that's popped up now. Red, root chakra, foundation, as in cardinal sin, center, strong and proud, somewhat stoic, may represent Catholicism, may suggest a warning, may represent spirit. Like there's all these different
I've always felt like loved ones in heaven when I see a cardinal. Always.
Yeah, same.
Always. And it could be like an actual cardinal, like on my backyard fence, or it could be like somebody shared a picture of a cardinal on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or somebody could be talking about the Arizona Cardinals. Like any kind of, it doesn't matter.
There was a lady, we went to bingo the other night because, you know, hot times on Tuesday, and it's really fun. It's like great people watching, and my OCD brain loves like checking off all the little numbers. I don't care if I win. Lady had like 4 cardinal necklaces on. Yeah, I mean, so it's just
Sandy and her cardinal paper lanterns.
Yep. Yeah. See?
Mm-hmm.
See? So there's all these things around us all the time. It's just, you know, paying attention to it and learning to kind of make the connection. And it doesn't have to be an immediate connection. It can be a couple of days. You'll be like, oh, you know, the light bulb goes off or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the headlight. But just, I think for me, knowing that I'm supported by so many other things that I can't even necessarily see. Like I'm one of those people, I don't know who my guides are. And honestly, I don't care. I don't need to know who they are, what their names are. Like I just know that they always step in at the right time when I need something, and they always have advice, and they always. So for me, there's a lot of peace in that. I don't have to stress about my life as much as I used to. Like I didn't enjoy my life until I got into this field at all. Like I said no to everything all the time. No to traveling, no to this, no to that. And then I finally got to the point where it was like, when Andrea said flip on your back and float, I had been in this for a couple of years by then. I'd learned a lot. And then it was like, then what the hell am I doing? I say no to everything all the time. And then I look at my life after I stopped saying no. Are you kidding? What? I would have missed out on all of this. Not all of it's been good. But
she investigates the paranormal now, like I told her she was going to.
I know, it's true. It's very true. Jonathan saw a cardinal today. Zach, see, synchronicity. I literally read today the cats are a sign of protection. Synchronicity.
Yep.
So, you know, for me, it's like, I just love this stuff because it's just fascinating to talk about.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's been very difficult for me to just flip on my back and float. Because I do have to be in control of my life a lot. Just simply because that's just sort of like the life I've lived. You know, my son has autism and he was diagnosed when he was 4 years old. So like I had to be in control of not only my life, but his life at our home and this and that. And, you know, so there's just sort of like, that's a hard habit to break. Now I own 2 businesses.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I have 2 shows and so relinquishing control for me is very difficult, but I do find when I do, it's a lot of fun. Like it's not fun, but it's easier. Like I am less like rigid and like, okay, check that out. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy my life more.
Yeah.
I enjoy my life more. Yeah. And I'm able to
I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's 9:15.
This is a fun one, guys. I hope you guys agree.
I did pull a funny meme. I didn't know if you had time to do fact or fiction because I knew you had a lot going on this week.
You know what? I didn't, but I do have sweary affirmations.
Excellent. So, what would you like to do first? The funny meme or the sweary affirmation?
Let's do the funny meme. The starred stuff, did we cover that?
I was going to do that next, and then we're going to make sure we launch with the intro of the newest show coming to Dead Air, which I'm super stoked about.
Yes, super stoked about. And then also I have a little promotion that I want to, nothing like specific or fancy, but.
Well, that's what I figured. We had some business things to do tonight, so I figured we would.
There's some business things to do tonight, guys. So write them all down. There will be a test tomorrow.
We did actually cover everything except the story of Mary Beth's, which we will absolutely do. So I will pull my... Where's my... Oh, here we go. Oh, shit. Wrong button. Nope, that's the right button. I saw that. I'm like, that's so me. That's perfect.
Yeah, that is absolutely. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well. It's true. True. You guys are gonna really yes, I did. Mary Beth, I did read it, and I do understand. I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things, my son is going to be 24 in a week and a half. So we've had the diagnosis for a while. But I and he is verbal, but hi. Yes, I do. One of my very favorite things is that autism is a road that I never expected to find myself on, but I sure do love my guide. And yes, I love it. It is, I would never want to be in part of any other community. We are firmly entrenched in this autism world, and I would never, ever, I never want to leave it. And in the very beginning, you had to drag me kicking and screaming into it because I was like, absolutely not. This is not my son.
Right.
It is the best. It's the best. I love it. I love it. Some of my best friends are parents of children with autism. So, yeah. Okay. So you were going to do the start. Were we going to do that?
You want to do that now before the story affirmation? Okay.
Yeah.
So Mary Beth had a story. She said, when I was a teenager, I discovered that there was another Mary Beth Reamer with a father named Richard Reamer, which is my father's name, and a mother named Marilyn, which is my mother's name. She said they also had a son, and I don't have any siblings.
That's a very, well, is your name common to where the region you live in? I don't know. Like that it's
just interesting.
I love it. Is it a common name where you live, Mary Beth? I don't know. That seems, well, thank you very much.
So Brendan knows. He's well ensconced in that world as well.
I love it. I love it.
Joseph. Yep.
Yes, it is. It's difficult because it's not that common. Okay. All right. Well then, in Arizona, the last name Garcia is very common. So if I didn't know where you're at, if Reamer was very common.
Yeah.
All
right. So
yes, it is both a blessing and a curse, autism. Because my son is because now he's an adult with autism. And so that's a whole new host of things that we've never experienced yet. It's constantly learning. Yes, use it to help people, but then also, it's tough, to get sleep. They're the best, I'm telling you what. I don't I love that it's I mean, I don't love that it is much more prevalent in children now. I believe when Coy was diagnosed in 2005, the statistics were 1 in 162. And now it's 1 in
24. Is that what I read?
68 or some really low number. Yeah. But I would never, ever, I don't ever want to leave this place. I don't. I love the parents. I love I love everybody that has autism. I don't, I don't know. Yeah. He's self-aware. Awesome. Same thing with my son.
Yeah.
And that's a huge testament to you and hopefully to your parents.
And the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been, it was a very difficult thing for me to, and my mom, to get that diagnosis.
Sure.
But once we got into it and we started, Koi's best friend that he's had since he was 4 years old at his, he went to a special ed school for pre-K. She has it as well. And, you know, I love her and I love, God, I don't want to say I love it, but the community is something that I will never, ever, ever leave. Ever. They could find a cure tomorrow. Nope.
Right.
The autism community has my heart.
Yeah.
Forever.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Okay, so
Sweary affirmation time.
Sweary affirmation time, guys. Let's see here.
I love these.
All right. Wonder how sweary this affirmation is going to get.
You know, Satori's grandmother gave her the same deck of cards.
Sweary affirmation.
I think it was a grandma.
Oh my God. My cousin, is her grandmother's name Dawn Morris? Because that's who gave me mine. How crazy would it be if she'd be like, yes?
That would be hilarious.
Then that would be like, look at that synchronicity, guys. Okay, here we go. All right, we're going to just pick one. And this one says, I don't even know. We're just going to look at it on the camera together. I trust in myself because I am a total badass.
I love it. That's a good one.
I will put that on the Facebook page. That is our sweary affirmation for the next 2 weeks. And guys, I know we didn't really go deep dive into chakras, but does anybody know which chakra this is on the card? In the chat, if you know which chakra that is on the card.
I should, but I want to say sacral, but I don't think that's right.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell.
Do we know? Drawing a blank.
What is it? Which one?
All right. Somebody throw your guesses in. I'm not sure. I'll look it up.
Yeah, let us know.
I will look it up. And the first person to guess it correctly will get a present from Satori. I'm kidding.
What? Shit.
Just kidding.
You want to do your promo and then we'll do the launch the video.
Okay. So I mentioned to you guys, and you guys might already know this, I have 2 companies. One is the skincare company that we all know and love, This Little Light of Mine Skincare. But did you know that I also have a spiritual wellness center? And Tom Owen is one of the folks that does everything with me in the Spiritual Wellness Center, along with Tammy Radin. So between the 3 of us, we can offer you chakra clearings and Reiki healing and psychic readings and spiritual guidance, that kind of thing. So we are actually going to be, we're new. We are actually going to be doing a live of our own. You can find us on our Facebook page, Let It Shine Spiritual Wellness. Do you see how I tied that in with this little light of mine? Let It Shine Spiritual Wellness. The 3 of us are going to be doing a live show on, Tom, help me out here. Did we say Monday, March 3rd? Is that a Monday? Help me out. March 3rd. Somebody scream it out to me. Erin? Yes. Monday, March 3rd. We're going to be doing a live on our Facebook page. So join us. We are going to talk to you all about basically what we do with the Wellness Center and the different services and things that you can find with us. And you can get to meet and learn a little bit more about me and Tom and Tammy. We'll answer all of your questions. And it's going to be at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 3rd. You're going to start seeing promos for that. So we wanted to
announce it. And
yes, Witch Moon, heart chakra. There you go. Good girl.
Nice, Witch Moon. Good.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm floating between the chat button and the media.
I know, right? We have a big one that I'm very excited about talking about. So
this I'm super stoked about. And
it's so good.
It's going to be the Dead Air show. Some of you have seen the announcement on the Dead Air Sunday night show. And I think Cody and Satori will be showing it as well. But let me just drop this trailer in your lap. Enjoy, and we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of Last Bite, a show where we honor the dearly departed and their culinary legacy. I'm Ken DeCosta, your host, and joining me today we have a very special guest. Hello, dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
What is your experience around the kitchen?
None.
Okay, well, this is going to be perfect then. Do you take science classes at all?
One time I did take a science class and I overheated a glass beaker and it shattered in my hand.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
I'm so freaking excited.
I cannot wait for this, you guys.
It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
The look on Ken's face, and she's like, one time I overheated a glass beaker. He's like, well, what could possibly go wrong?
So if I understand it right, they're taking recipes, and the boss man can chime in and put himself up if he wants to, that people have left on their headstones and making them. I think that's right. I hope.
I think that's amazing. Because you know what? I love that idea. Like, I love to see those kind of headstones. So I think that's really, really cool. And also, you know what, Satori, sweetheart, listen. Trust in yourself because you are a total badass.
Yep.
But also, yes, it's going to be comedy gold. Yeah. So soon as we know the drop date, there we go. Look at cup of Crisco.
So,
literally crap, Crisco. This could be my grandmother's chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Yeah. So they're literally taking recipes from headstones and making them, which I think is really, really cool. So, but of course you get the comedy with Ken and Company, who have newly painted green cabinets in his kitchen, and it's going to be really good. So.
Nod to Erin. She helped a little bit.
Well, I did like one corner cabinet when I was there on my birthday, and that was it. But the color's great. And interestingly,
that's the prettiest cabinet.
The color is an honor to Sarah Whipple from the Paint House. It was the color of her bedroom.
Really?
So sorry, Ken. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but I did because I think it's really neat. It's a nod to Sarah Whipple. And on that note. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again. We'll be back in 2 weeks with God knows what.
I mean, I kind of want to see this ancient Greek thing she was talking about earlier. Maybe we'll get that.
Love it.
Wouldn't that be cool? All right, guys. Love you so much. Don't get arrested. Well, we'll sure try. Although, literally, I have not driven in almost 2 months, so I might.
Let us know how the driving goes, where you go first, and how it went.
Okay. I'll film myself, or I'll have Koi film me.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
That's probably better.
All right, we love you guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye. We love you. Have a great weekend.